Today, BMW is an absolute titan, a global symbol of wealth, precision engineering, and performance. But on December 9th, 1959, BMW was exactly 6 hours away from being erased from the history books forever. The company was completely bankrupt. The board of directors had already packed their bags, gathered the shareholders, and prepared to vote on a final buyout. The buyer? Their bitter arch rival, Daimler-Benz, the makers of Mercedes. If that vote passed, BMW wouldn't just be partner companies with Mercedes. They would be absorbed by them. The name BMW would have become an entry-level footnote or wiped out entirely. Mercedes won. It was over. Except a group of furious factory workers, a rebellious small shareholder, and a weird little car nobody expected to succeed did the unthinkable. This is the story of how a bunch of rebels saved the ultimate driving machine. To understand how BMW ended up on the chopping block, we have to look at the tragic identity crisis they faced after World War II. Their factories were bombed out, stripped bare by Allied forces, and they were legally banned from building their bread and butter, aircraft engines. When they finally started making cars again in the 1950s, management made a catastrophic mistake. They decided to build the BMW 502, nicknamed the Baroque Angel. It was beautiful, heavily engineered, powered by a gorgeous V8, and it cost more money than almost anyone in post-war Germany could ever dream of earning. So, to stay afloat, BMW also built this, the Isetta, a tiny, egg-shaped bubble car where the entire front of the vehicle doubled as the door. It was cheap, it was cute, and it actually sold incredibly well. Do you see the problem here? BMW's entire product line consisted of two wild extremes. On one side, luxury sedans that cost a fortune and bled cash because they were too expensive to mass produce. On the other side, tiny microcars that made almost zero profit margin. There was nothing in the middle. No normal family cars, no mainstream identity. By the late 1950s, the motorcycle market collapsed as the German economy recovered, and the Isetta craze died out. BMW was bleeding millions of marks every single month. They were completely out of money, out of ideas, and out of time. Enter Deutsche Bank, who managed BMW's finances. They saw only one logical solution to clear the debt: sell everything to Daimler-Benz. Mercedes would acquire BMW's factories to expand their own production, and the BMW brand would be dismantled. December 9th, 1959, the 39th annual general meeting. Management stands on a stage and openly begs the shareholders to accept the Mercedes takeover. It seemed like a done deal. Most of the major investors had already agreed behind closed doors. But the boardroom underestimated two groups: the factory workers, who knew a Mercedes takeover meant massive layoffs, and the small, independent shareholders who deeply loved the brand. As the hours ticked by, a massive counter-offensive began. Small shareholders took the microphone, intentionally giving incredibly long speeches to delay the vote. Dealership owners from across Germany stepped up, offering to pool money to keep the company independent. Then, a lawyer representing the small shareholders found a crucial loophole in the company's financial balance sheet. They argued that management had mathematically undervalued the development costs of their upcoming new model, meaning the financial reports used to justify the bankruptcy were legally flawed. The meeting descended into absolute chaos. The 10-hour showdown completely derailed the agenda. The board, exhausted and legally boxed into a corner, had no choice but to adjourn the meeting without a vote. BMW bought themselves a brief window of survival, but they still needed a massive influx of cash. That is when this man stepped into the light: Herbert Quandt. Quandt was one of the wealthiest industrialists in Germany, controlling a massive conglomerate. Crucially, he already owned a 10% stake in Mercedes-Benz and about a 30% stake in BMW. Initially, his bankers told him to take the Mercedes deal and run. But Quandt was deeply moved by the fierce loyalty of the workforce during that chaotic 10-hour meeting. More importantly, he saw something his bankers missed: a brand new prototype BMW had been quietly working on. The BMW 700. The 700 was exactly what BMW had been missing for a decade. It was a proper, beautiful unibody passenger car. It utilized a modified version of BMW's reliable two-cylinder motorcycle engine in the back, making it affordable to build, but it looked like a premium upscale sports coupe. When the 700 debuted at the Frankfurt Motor Show, the public went absolutely wild. BMW was instantly flooded with over 25,000 orders. Seeing this massive hidden demand, Herbert Quandt made a legendary gamble. Against the frantic advice of his financial advisors, he rejected the Mercedes deal, doubled down, and increased his personal stake in BMW to 50%, financing the mass production of the 700 himself. The BMW 700 was an astronomical success, accounting for nearly 60% of the company's entire revenue within a year. It single-handedly generated the massive mountain of cash BMW needed to develop their next project: the new class BMW 1500. It was that specific line of sports sedans that defined BMW's identity for the next 60 years. If those factory workers hadn't delayed that meeting, and if a tiny two-cylinder car hadn't captured the imagination of a billionaire, the car company we know today simply wouldn't exist. Drop a comment below. Would a Mercedes-owned BMW have survived? Or did those rebels save automotive history? Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next deep dive.